You've also stayed active to a good degree, Larry, I believe, in party politics. Is that right? I think I saw here you were twice selected as a South Carolina delegate to the Democratic National Convention.
Yes, that was a fascinating experience.
That's a big deal.
And fun if anyone gets an opportunity to go, regardless of party affiliation, either to the Republican National Convention or the Democratic Convention. It's certainly well worth the trip to go. If you know a delegate, you can go as a guest. Or,
is that right?
Or get active in the party and go as an alternate if you can't get elected as a delegate. But it's very fascinating to watch the political process unfold.
Either party, you stress.
Oh, absolutely.
The Democratic or the Republican Party, yeah. What years...
some of my best friends are Republicans.
And probably some are Democrats, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. What years did you attend?
96 and 2000.
Is that so both within the last decade, 11, 12 years?
Yes.
That's tremendous, yeah. That's great. You know, we think about, of course, the Community Appearance Board, and obviously a lot of folks probably, we've been hearing a lot about the Community Appearance Board recently with the Myrtle Beach International Airport and the impact that the CAB, for short, had on where the airport would eventually land, or, excuse me, where it would eventually be located. Share with viewers a little bit about just exactly what is the City of Myrtle Beach's Community Appearance Board, when was it formed, and what's its mission?
Well, it's been formed for a little more than a quarter of a century ago.
Okay.
David Stratinger, who used to be the city manager, and Sam Burns, who was with the city. They came up with the idea after viewing it from other communities and decided to pitch it to council at that time, and council went for it. It's changed quite a bit through the years. It used to be that if the applicant didn't like a decision of the Community Appearance Board, they could wait 6 months and then go get the permit. So consequently, there was a several-year period there where people would come in for permits on September 1st.
Right.
And then, obviously, it would be turned down based on the lack of style and no landscaping or whatever. And come January, they would start building it, you know, and getting the permit. So that was tightened up by council. We were very pleased with that. And then there was a time when, if you didn't care for the decision of the Community Appearance Board, you could go and appeal it to council. And council could override the decision of the board by at least 4 votes. Then the courts and the legislature got into the act and said that your Community Appearance Board, you don't have to have one. But if you do have one, they're a quasi-judicial body, so the appeal from the board has to go to the courts, which by and large the council was quite relieved of that, because it saved them from having to fend off people who, for some reason or another, didn't like a decision of the board.
Right.
Put themselves into uncomfortable positions. So it's worked rather well. We've been criticized at times saying, well, you're an appointed board, how can you make these decisions? But so many things around this state and country are appointed by elected officials who have much more power than the Community Appearance Board. Just locally, we have our city magistrates, our city judges, our highway commission on the state level, all of them with billion-dollar decisions.
Oh, yeah.
Solid Waste Authority for the county.
Horry County Solid Waste Authority.
Absolutely.
Those folks are all appointed?
All are appointed. No one elects these people. But they're appointed by elected officials to do the best that they do. And I'm very pleased with, say, the Highway Commission. We've had 4 or 5 representatives from Myrtle Beach area.
Oh, yeah.
But none of them were experts in highway construction.
Right.
But they had a burning desire to help our area, and they all did extremely well.
Sure.
I don't remember anyone complaining, saying, well, they were appointed, so therefore they shouldn't be able to make the decisions when we were getting great roads out of it.
When those dollars were coming back to ORE, finally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line there, and I can certainly understand the frustration if a person is turned down by the board, thinking they have to go to court. But I've tried through the years to treat everyone equally and fairly,
right,
and give you some suggestions how to come back and perhaps common ground to get approval.
Now, when folks come to, how often does the Community Appearance Board meet, Larry?
Twice a month.
Twice a month, okay. And normally, can citizens come in front of the Community Appearance Board? Is it principally architects and others?
No, it's always a mixture.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a representative of the applicant, sometimes the applicant themselves. And if it's a large project, the architect will come along with the owner of the project. So it's always a mixture. It's also open to the public. We have some members of the public that just come and observe it and say
it's
the best show in town.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone would like to come and observe and see how CAB works and how we make our decisions, they're certainly welcome. It's always the first and third Thursday of each month.
Okay.
1:30 at City Services Building.
Great. The first and third Thursday of each month, and you said 1:30.
1:30 at City Services.
And that is the one
Oak Street and
Mr. Joe White,
yes.
very close to here, obviously.
Absolutely.
Okay, so 1:30 at the City Services Building, the first and third Thursday.
Right.
That's great.
Unless there's something major where there will be an overflow crowd, in that case I'll move it to the Law Enforcement Center or something like that.
Sure. And you had some overflow crowds recently, I suspect.
A few times on the airport, yes.
Yeah. And you've been on the board how long, Larry?
About 24 years now.
Oh, come on.
About 24.
Is that right?
Yes.
As an appointed position now, this is appointed by City Council.
Yes.
So clearly there have been different members of council over the years that figured out you knew what you were doing. How about some of the other members of the board? How large is the board again? You said 9 members. Okay.
Right. And it's made up of a great cross-section of the community.
Right.
We have a architect who's a principal in one of the major firms around town. We have a lady who's the owner of a company that builds high-end residential and commercial properties.
Is that right?
We have homemakers. We have small business owners.
Right.
We have landscape architects. We have a commercial realtor. So it's a very good representation, cross-section of the community.
I've got to say, some of the members that I've come in contact with, particularly during the course of the airport, it was definitely not done. I mean, during the course of the debate, definitely not done in a vacuum. Hearing Ben Brown oftentimes saying, "Well, what do you think about it?" I mean, really seeking public input to make sure that, and I'm sure all the members really seeking public input.
There was
want to have
no
as much interest.
flip decision made on that airport.
Right.
Had we wanted to, the first time they came and were turned down, that would have had to have been the end of it. But the applicants at that time were not prepared, so they were granted another hearing, and then another workshop, and then another hearing. We tried everything to allay the fears of the board. I really say that the board did yeoman's work on this project.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, we are charged with the quality of life of Myrtle Beach, and we are the Myrtle Beach Community Appearance Board. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we take that very seriously. And I think the proof is in the pudding when you drive up and down the streets of Myrtle.
Right. We've just got a couple of minutes, Larry, and hopefully you'll be willing to come back with us tomorrow to share a little more about, because I think a lot of viewers would be interested in knowing just what happened back whenever they originally talked about putting the airport at that location. Mm-hmm. It seemed like, and I'm sure a lot of people remember some pictures either in newspapers or TV stations of the county council, both Mark McBride and Chairman Gillen there with shovels, shoveling stuff out. I remember I was out there, it was right behind the Herald's office there on UG and Shine, very close. And to see those folks out there.
Were you going to lose your office at one time?
I was.
Right,
thanks Keith Bellamy, and others coming to talk about it at the time. The chairman and the mayor working together to. That was when they were talking about a 3,000-foot separation between runways, and of course the police training facility had just been constructed. Divine Dining moved in right after me there. Out on the air base and the VA, all that. A lot of folks work. It was very depressing. Tofino's and others. Very depressing, talking about a 3,000-foot separation. Of course, seeing all the airports around the country, Larry, that if they need a second runway, rarely ever more than 1,000-foot separation.
Absolutely.
So surely a lot has come into play. At the same time, that terminal, a lot of folks had known about it or thought it was going to be there. I've seen a lot of McCaffrey's drawings and the Market Common drawings where they have airport to be completed in such and such date. So surely a lot of folks had thought about it, but there's
there was no presentation that had come before the Community Appearance Board prior to that. And if you remember, you being in this business, besides the TV, the newspaper, you saw that there was never unanimous support from County Council. At each phase they went, sometimes you weren't even sure it was going to move along with the vote. There was not overwhelming support from the City Council at that time. The city, however, did change the zoning for the PUD there, which allowed them to seek permission for an airport on the west side. The city did not grant it and then take it away. There's a major difference there. The county, in its infinite wisdom, decided they did not want to go back to the city, so the county specifically requested that the Community Appearance Board be part of the process.
Is that right?
Yes,
the county?
The county specifically
when was
requested.
That, Larry? Was that?
This was back in the original document.
Okay, back in
2004.
Right.
So when they specifically requested it, that's why I was so shocked when I would read the things in the paper that it's an appearance board, how could they do this, what are they charged with? If they specifically wanted it, I would have thought one of the attorneys would have read the ordinance for the City of Myrtle Beach Community Appearance Board, what we're charged with and our objectives. We knew the Market Commons was coming along. They were actually coming on board. We were actually approving footprints there. They were turning dirt. With the back and forth with the city and the county on that, we never knew if that was going to happen or not. Back several years ago, when the idea was floated, there were concerns at that time from the board as far as the closeness to the Market Commons and the residential. So,
Larry, I got to say it. I hope you'll come back and be with us tomorrow on Tuesday morning. We've run out of time. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Bragg.
Stay tuned. A little more Larry Bragg coming up next. Carolina people. Service to his city, almost a quarter of a century on the Community Appearance Board. Service to his state. Think about all those activities and the awards he's received throughout the state. That comes after hard work. Comes after lots of hard work and dedication. Service to his nation as a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. That opportunity bringing him here for 5 years, serving here on the air base, and to see the experiences, the love. You heard him talk about the magic of Myrtle Beach. What a great phrase. We ought to think about using that. Sitting here in the lobby of the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber may run with that, the magic of Myrtle Beach. Those are special words coming out of one man's mouth. With a board being around here almost a little more than a quarter century, his service a little less than a quarter century, there's a lot more than you can get in just a 30-minute interview. Come back tomorrow for part 2 of Larry Bragg.